Okay, so I've had a few comments with people asking about my consistency for the Pro Pour. So I'm going to show you the consistencies of the base and the colors before I add the water. So when I use, let's say, something like a Liquitex, which I would consider a medium body paint, a tube paint, this is the consistency you can expect. So this is the Liquitex Payne's Gray. And actually, let me pan down just a bit. Okay, so this is the gray, the Payne's Gray, before I add the water. This is 2 ounces of floetrol and 1 ounce of paint. And you see the consistency is quite thick, leaving several mounds. And it's not even dripping to leave a trace. Well, there it is. So when I add my water, I added, using this container, a squirt at a time. And I'll let you know what I'm looking for. Still leaving a mound. But I'm going to try to get the consistency as close as I can. Well, not the consistency, the water measurement, as close as I can get it. So when I add a squirt, this is 0.3 ounces. So now we're up to, let's see, 0.6 ounces of water. Still too thick. All right, 0.3 ounces. So now we're up to 0.9. 0.9 ounces of water. And that is still a little too thick for me. So that was 9, another 3 ounces, 9 to 1.2 ounces of water. Now, that looks about right. All right, so it's sinking in, no mound. So that was 1.2 ounces of water for Payne's Gray, which is a tube paint. Okay? Now, that's just one example for 2 paints, 1.2 ounces. of water was added to the 2 ounces of floetrol, 1 ounce of paint. This is the base. I have not added any water. Now, it is not leaving a mound, and it's just leaving a slight hint of a trace. So this is 10 ounces of floetrol, 6 ounces of Artist Loft White, 1 ounce of GAC 800, a squirt of Liquitex gloss medium, and I used the green label, and 2 ounces of DecoArt Satin Enamels. That is what's in here without any water. And you can see it's a thin consistency, but it's not as thin as I want it to be. Now, this is a 4-ounce cup. I know I'm going to need at least 3 ounces. So I'm going to fill this up to 3 ounces. And I'm going to pour in a little at a time. And we're going to check the consistency after the 3 ounces of water has been incorporated. Make sure you scrape your sides. Scrape the bottom. Okay. I haven't added all the 3 ounces yet. Just adding a little bit at a time. Okay, that's not it. But you can see it's thin. It's leaving a slight trace, so it's a little too thick for me. Now, that is the complete 3 ounces added. And we're going to check the consistency again. Make sure it's well incorporated. Scraping your sides. Wiping off your stick. And stir. Now let's check the consistency. That looks pretty good. Okay. So what I normally do at this point to determine if everything's going to flow together, that's when I get one of my tiles and do a tile test. I always do a tile test with the pearl pour because I want to make sure I'm going to get some pearls before I use up all this paint and waste a lot of time and money. And you all know we are not wasting money over here. So let me get a tile and we'll do a test, and that will let me know if the consistency is good or if I need to add more water. So before I do the tile, let me show you the gray. The gray that I'm using today, or used, is Artist Loft White and a squirt of Artist Loft Black, because I don't have any gray that's not metallic. You can see it's already thin. It's not leaving an initial mound, but there is a mound. This is 0.5 ounces of water. I've added half. That's not it. Get your sides. Still a little thick to me. So that's a complete 0.5 ounces of water. Remember, for this one, because it was a tube paint, we added 1.2 ounces of water. The Artist Loft Flow acrylics are already thin, so we don't need a lot of water to get it to the consistency that I want. Now, that was 0.5 ounces, and that looks good. There's no mound, no trace. The black garnet is a metallics. I don't think it'll pearl up, but you can see that this paint is already thin. So I'm not going to need to use a lot of water to get it to the consistency of those two paints. You see, it's leaving a mound. This is 1 ounce of paint, 2 ounces of floetrol. I'm going to add 0.5 ounces to the cup. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit at a time and stir. Check my consistency. Still leaving a mound, so it's too thin. You want to make sure that water is well incorporated. Scrape your sides. We're still getting a hint of a mound. So now I've added the complete 0.5 ounces of water. And we're still getting a mound. Even though it's feels thin, we're still getting a mound. So I'm going to get another 0.5 ounces of water. Let's do 0.2. Okay, 0.2, well, 0.3. And I'm going to add half of this in. And so that was 0.3, initially 0.5, so now we're at 0.8. 0.8 ounces of water. And we're not getting a mound. Well, wait a minute, let's see. Still getting a tiny bit of a mound, but it feels really thin to me. Okay, this is one we might have to test. I don't think it's going to pearl up because it's a metallic. But I want it the same consistency as the Payne's Gray and our Artist Loft Gray. Okay. No mound. Alrighty. So, I will try to remember what I said and put the measurements in the description box. If I forget, just reload the video and watch how much of water I added for each colored paint based on a tube paint, Artist Loft Flow, white and black mixed together, and this already thin, creamy, consistent paint. So it's not going to be the same amount of water for each type of paint you use. So now we're going to do the tile test. Okay, here's our water. Our base. It's moving nicely on the tile. And let's add a bit of this Payne's Gray. We're getting that shadow effect from the Payne's Gray, so we know that it's a good consistency. Now I'm going to move this around to see if I get any reaction for pearls. And that's going to tell me if my consistency to achieve pearls is correct. So we did get some pearls that developed right away. And that was with the metallic paint. So that is a good thing. The Rust-Oleum, which is what this is, metallic accents, seems to like this technique in terms of giving us some cells or some pearls. So that is how I mix the paints and test the consistency. I can't say for sure how much water to add, but now you have an idea of a starting point when you're mixing your base and your colors.